pronouns are they and she, and I'm hosting today. I accidentally didn't turn on the audio. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Kiana, you want to go again? I don't know if we heard all that, but it doesn't matter because we're streaming now anyway. So
Yeah.
Hi, streamers. I'm Kiana. My pronouns are she, her. What's up, Lily?
Hello, everybody. My name is Lily. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm super excited. I think this is the first time the three of us have all been here together in the same room, I believe, which is crazy. This semester, I don't know about you guys, but this semester has probably been the worst one of my entire life.
Oh, yes. It's been the worst and simultaneously somehow still the best. I don't know.
Well, at least you have that. I would say mine is just the worst.
I have it real now.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason.
That's exciting. Yeah, so, it's been a rough one, but we're pushing through. We all made it today. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I watch a lot of TV. So I feel like I have a lot of opinions on this.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't watch a lot of TV. I think I just consume a lot of information throughout the internet,
I relate to that.
Yeah.
But also our topic, so no one's confused, we are going to be talking about 2010's queer rep, like specifically like the queer shows that I think all of us here grew up with, and maybe you as a listener also grew up with.
Yeah.
Queer
TV then and now definitely has changed a lot. I think we're gonna talk about how terrible the representation was.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
they tried
a little better, a little better now.
Yeah. So shows like Pretty Little Liars, Vampire Diaries, what's some other ones? Even like 100, they really tried.
Oh, Gossip
They
Girl.
really tried.
Gossip Girl had a few. I was even looking, I know a lot of the Disney ones were around then.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those weren't out queer characters, but they were queer coded, So like Victorious definitely had queer coded. Literally nobody can convince me that Jade is not bisexual. I literally don't care.
Yeah.
She is. And she was my queer awakening. So
My personal headcanon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jade and Beck are bi for bi.
Yeah,
You
they
can't
literally
convince
are.
the
They
otherwise.
literally are. And there was another one. Oh, I saw actually recently Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't know if you guys remember when Hayley Kiyoko was on Wizards of Waverly Place briefly. But apparently, the girl who played Harper, she's a podcast, and she interviewed the writer from the show. And he was like, yeah, they were supposed to be like a couple. Like, Alex is bisexual. Like, that we wanted to write that in, but Disney wouldn't let us, so we had to just do it in like a low-key way.
Yeah.
But like, that was supposed to happen. And I was like, that's so interesting. But like, of course, like if you look at the two of them together in the show, even just like Hayley Kiyoko's character, it's like, come on.
So like, I don't know if it's coded the correct way, but basically, you can just tell. It's so easy to tell, especially if you're queer now.
So
and looking back at it.
They had a little romance flirty going on, I think, at times. Like, you could definitely pick up on those vibes.
I would have preferred that over like Alex with Mason or Dean. I recently just watched a YouTube essay like talking about all of Alex's relationships, so it's just really fresh in my mind.
Oh my
God. They weren't good.
No.
But I'm kind of glad like Disney never went the road with like Alex and what's her character's name?
I forget what her name was.
Hayley Kiyoko.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She is Hayley Kiyoko.
She
no one
is
else.
It was like Stevie or something like that. Something like that, I think.
Sure, that sounds correct. So I'm going to use
sounds like
Stevie.
a lesbian coded character, honestly.
Right?
Like Stevie is always the name.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, you're right. They probably would have just like butchered
messed it up.
It was kind of good that it was just like low key. Because that, like, I was looking back and I was like, oh my god, like 100%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I feel like if they used the input of Hayley Kiyoko specifically, they could have avoided messing it up.
Yeah,
but
that's true. I don't know. She was so young too, though.
She
I don't even know if she was actually out.
She wasn't. I don't
think
know.
so.
Yeah, because she was like a teenager, like
true.
Yeah, I think probably like
time is weird.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty Little Liars, though. That was
that was rough.
That was a big moment.
Yeah.
Don't get me started, or actually get me started.
That's so funny. Just for like a quick introduction. So like Emily started as like the big queer rep, and she's bi, I believe, and she's not great. I remember growing up, I watched it, I'm like, yay, this is amazing. And then looking back, I'm like, oh, that was not
Emily
great.
bi?
She's lesbian.
Yeah, she's a lesbian.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, no
You're
worries.
Gucci.
Yeah. I guess my baby brain assumed she was bi.
It's okay.
But,
Pretty Little Liars doesn't make it easy to follow any of the
True,
lore or any
Yeah.
character,
true.
anything.
That is so
Yeah,
true.
like-
You're fine.
Yeah, she has a handful of romantic moments and love interests, but like generally they're lazy and just like, oh, let's have it's convenient for the plot, kind of. I mean, that's most of the plot points in that show. But here's a quote that says Emily's romantic scenes weren't as frequent or intense as the ones between the other liars and their boyfriends. Her girlfriends hardly ever participated in the mystery elements of the show the way the boyfriends did, while romance featured more prominently in seasons 6B than ever before. Emily was not involved in a single romantic scene, ever, pretty much.
Yeah.
I remember
It's very subtle.
the first girlfriend she has, or like the only one, I guess, is Maya, right? Is
Yeah.
her name Maya?
Yeah.
I think so.
She has more girlfriends, but
Oh, does she?
Yes.
Okay. I literally have a hard. That show was such a like fever dream, honestly.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they didn't really. I feel like Emily like was important for like a week. And like when it was like the thing with her mom, like not liking her being gay, whatever, and like they kiss at the photo booth, and it's like, oh my god. But then after that, it was like, okay, I don't care about you. And I feel like she's kind of an unlikable character in general, to be honest, which kind of sucked because it was like, I feel like her whole like coming out story wasn't like that terribly done, but just like her character is just not.
The rest of it, yeah.
You know?
I think Emily's best plotline was her season 1 coming out story.
Yeah.
She still had other girlfriends. She was still involved in the plot later on. But it's so clear that after like season 4, they really didn't know what to do with her, and she should have been written out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the coming out story, I think it was handled well. I liked seeing how her mom reacted to it, and her mom wasn't really accepting, but like eventually came around and was trying to be supportive. It felt very like realistic. But then, you know, Maya died, as most characters do on Pretty Little Liars.
God,
Any
I
love
forgot.
interest, you're about to die.
Yeah,
No, true. That's actually following that trope also.
especially like Pretty Little Liars had a very few black characters,
Yeah.
and I think all of them died.
Great.
So
Awesome.
Maya was
Yay.
unfortunately in that category of black and queer.
Yeah.
So double whammy.
Double way.
Yeah. Intersectionality of
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars.
Why did they do that?
'Cause
That's terrible.
They're horrible.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But I think the other main love interests for like Emily, notable ones, were Allison and Paige. Paige was horrible. Started out with like this toxic thing. She literally was trying to drown Emily in the pool.
Yeah.
And yet they somehow made it work. Whatever, good for them. And then Paige disappeared also. We don't really know where she went.
Yeah.
Like probably to
Jeez.
California or something to live with her parents, I think. And then the Allison plotline really irks me.
The
That's
Allison one,
bad.
Yeah.
dude.
The fandom likes to pretend that they had this grand love story and that it was always endgame. It wasn't.
It
In the
was
first
lazy
few
writing.
seasons, yeah, it was just a plot device
Yeah.
to like Allison was like quote unquote dead. She would only appear in flashbacks and stuff, and their love was obviously like Emily having her queer awakening,
Yeah.
and then Allison taking advantage of that
Yeah.
to further her own goals of killing and blackmailing people. I don't even know. That
Yeah,
show's
I don't know.
crazy.
Yeah. I
And-
feel like. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, keep going.
and then they like don't even get together. Emily has like a bunch of like other love interests that are only there for like 3 episodes at a time. And then at the end of the show, when everybody's coupled up, Hannah with Caleb, Spencer with Toby, Arya with Ezra, actual endgame ships. Emily is stuck with Allison in a way. And then in the new sequel or the spin-off show, they're divorced. They don't even like, they just mention it. Allison's there. She's like, oh yeah, me and Emily just divorced. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what was it
Nothing with Allison last.
for? Yeah, nothing with Allison
Oh my
last.
god.
Unless it's hurting people. But
feel like all of the relationships in that show were so toxic and unhealthy and just like a terrible example for young people.
Yeah.
But it's like especially sad when it's with the queer relationships, because it's like that was like one of the only examples of of like lesbian relationships at the time, like for like teenagers or whatever. And like and they made it terrible also, but like literally that show had like students like being like, yeah, I could date my teacher. Like what was up with that? Like literally what was up with
Arya married her teacher.
Yeah, like actually.
And she was mad at her mom for being like, this is insane, don't do it.
I know.
Like, how dare you?
They made the parents look like crazy and at fault for not supporting that relationship. Like everybody was like, like I remember being like, oh my god, like your parents are crazy. Like no, they're
how dare you not let them date? This is true love, mom.
Like why was he not literally arrested? Like it's so crazy.
I don't know, but Emily was definitely like put on a back burner. At least like Arya had an actual toxic love story, you know, like at least it was part of the plot. At least she was cared for as a character. Emily was such a afterthought. And like in the quote that you read us out, it was when Emily like barely had any love plot lines or any actual plot lines in season 6. The other characters, the longest they'd gone without a love interest was like only 3 episodes. And it's like
it's crazy.
You have representation, but
and I think like generally they treated it well with it being as toxic as the other ones, but otherwise in terms of like how frequent and with who would happen, it was not the same. Because I think I don't know why, but it seems like they were overthinking the fact that she's queer. Like, you know, because if she wasn't, they would just randomly drop any man in her life, and that would be easy. But, you know, you can't do that with a lesbian, because, you know, lesbians don't like men. They like women. It's very specific that we like women, you know, but you can't just drop any woman in it. It's so weird. I don't know if that made any sense. But,
no, that made sense. You're right. Like, they didn't know what to do with Emily's character. Even when they did drop a random woman in the storyline, like, I don't know. It was just stupid. Like, they had Sarah Harvey, which was the girl they found in the dollhouse, and they rescued her, and she lived with Emily for a while. And I guess that made the showrunners were like, 2 girls living together, unknown girl with unknown background. I guess Emily can kiss her. Like, I guess we can have that for a while, like a few episodes, and then Sarah Harvey, like, no one knows what's going on with her.
She didn't even have to when they just dropped like Demi Lovato into Glee.
Oh my god.
That's so
and we're like,
to date Santana.
Now you're in love. Like, what? A girl from a dollhouse? What does that even mean?
I don't know. She was just kept there for years. And then she turned out to be evil anyway. And I'm like, okay.
Naturally.
I guess that's what the dollhouse does to you. And the only like bisexual character that was really mentioned in Pretty Little Liars was Jenna Marshall, the girl that was blinded by Allison. And throughout the series, Jenna's like an important character. We see her a lot, reoccurring main cast, but she only dates men. From the relationships we do see, the only time her bisexuality is mentioned is like she holds hands with her girl best friend, and then when that girl best friend Shauna was like about to die, she like admits that I was A because I was doing it for Jenna, and I have feelings for her, and then she dies. I'm like, oh,
damn,
what was it for? What was the point?
What was the reason?
Literally, what was the reason?
Man.
Do you
also,
guys
I feel like that is such if a queer person wrote any show, that is how the love story would go. But it's funny because it happened because they didn't want to properly talk about it. But the slow burn is such a, like, I feel like
the potential's there.
The potential's there, but when nothing else is slow burn, you can't have this one relationship to be, basically. It's not a soap opera. This isn't even a slow
burn. This is a bomb. They drop a bomb in an episode, and they're like, watch it explode. This is your representation.
It's so funny.
And do you guys remember Cece? I don't know.
Wait, yeah.
I actually don't.
I remember that name.
Okay.
Wait.
So Cece is the first and only transgender character on Pretty Little Liars.
Oh.
Cece De Laurentiis.
Yes.
Okay.
Dead naming because the show does it and it's important to the plot. Charles. So
Yeah.
for like season 5, they're searching for A, this Uber A, the new A. They're like, oh, it's Charles. So it's like a relative of the De Laurentises. And this whole time we're looking for a boy, blah, 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 blah. Turns out it's a character we do know. It's Cece. She had just gone, she's transgender. And like no one really knew about it because as a child she was hidden. And then her parents sent her to Radley, which is an insane asylum. A very bad one, like cruel one.
Yeah.
Jeez.
With inhumane conditions that was later
like all
shut
of them.
down. Anyway, yeah.
Is that who is in? No, there's. Is it Mona? She's also in an insane.
Mona's
asylum at
also
one
in
point,
the
right?
in
Yeah.
Radley. That's where she
Okay.
meets Cece and they
Oh,
work
okay.
together.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was like, I vaguely remember that, but I don't think I watched far enough to where it was Cece. It was Mona for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cece's identity is revealed at the same time as it's revealed that she's A. And then after that episode, it's the season finale, and the next season starts off with Cece dying. Like, not even shown on screen. We just get to know that she was released from the hospital, and then her first night out, she was murdered.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. It's just very clear that when the show includes sexualities and different gender identities, it's for shock value. I don't know. It wasn't handled well. The first time you show a trans character, she's the villain, and her sexuality is the reason she's in the hospital, and what kind of, I don't know, you feel for her.
That whole show is crazy, I think. It's kind of, I feel like it's very similar to Glee a little bit in the way that it was just all crazy. And, like, it started off with a strong idea of, like, what it was. And then it just, like, I don't know, went off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel, okay, anyway, we have more, though. So we were going to talk about, I don't know, did you guys watch Gossip Girl? Because that was also...
Not as long as I watched Pretty Little Liars. but
Yeah. That was also, I was trying to think of the queer characters in that one, because that was like a huge show. And all I remember is the brother, the gay brother who's like depressed.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's so real. Like that, he was totally
Shout
me.
out Eric.
Eric. Eric was like, honestly, I feel like a pretty likable character.
Oh, I
Yeah.
loved
in my
Eric.
opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Eric was handled well, but maybe that's just because there were no storylines with
Yeah.
him. Because
His only storyline was like that he had mental illness.
yeah,
But I was like, you know, as a young gay person, that resonated with me a lot.
Yeah.
that's our representation. We love it.
They're gay and mentally ill. Yay.
Yay! I think Eric was supposed to be Gossip Girl, but then
Yeah.
people found out and they switched it on us last
It would
minute.
have made a lot more sense, I think, for him. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that, like, straight man, whatever his name was. What was his name?
Dan.
Yeah.
Dan
Like,
Humphrey.
that he was, like, behind all this gossip. Come on. That's the
Impossible.
work of a gay person.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not stereotyping
Yeah.
if the person's gay.
Yep.
you know?
We can say it.
I'm like, I don't know. I just don't think Dan had it in him. I'm like,
No.
it would have
He
made
did
so
not.
much sense if it was
No.
Eric.
It
But
is weird.
Dan was a menace to society and he should actually be in jail. Like, I can't believe last episode he's just like, I was Gossip Girl. I ruined your lives for years. Not even
but
just
I
high
love
school.
you.
And
let's get
they're all like,
married.
yay!
Yeah.
Guys, wasn't it fun? Wasn't it fun? People died, but
Yeah, what a little scavenger hunt. It's so fun.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
okay, Dan, write your bestseller book. Shout out,
Yeah.
shout out Dana, his bestseller book. But
I feel like, what was the guy's Chuck, right?
yeah,
I feel like he was a little queer coded, if I'm being honest.
okay.
I always thought like there was something a little like he was giving bisexual a little bit. Do you know
I
what
have
I mean?
things to say. You are right.
Yes.
But not in the way you want to be. Maybe.
Oh no.
So in the books, because the books came before the show.
I didn't even know there were books.
There were books. Okay,
Yeah.
there are books, and there's even like a spin-off series, and I haven't read them, but I've like watched videos about them. And Chuck was originally bisexual in the books, but I'm really glad he wasn't in the TV show, because the way it was handled on the TV show, in the books, it was like, oh, he's bi because he slept with all the girls and now
Oh.
he's moved on to men, and that's just who
Oh.
Chuck is. So that's how they portrayed bisexuality in, like, 2005 or whatever.
Yes, because
Yeah.
you decided that you ended up don't liking women, but you slept with them at some point, so that means you're bi. Obviously, that's not the case.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
I know.
I feel like, I mean, I do know that was kind of his character, that like he was kind of, a
Yeah.
little bit
A
like,
sleaze.
yeah. But that sucks that they used like his sexuality in that way. I feel like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I like, I'm like, it makes sense for him, but also like it's terrible.
It
Yeah.
makes sense because he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but,
he would do that because he's a horrible person, not
Yeah.
because he's bisexual.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
you can be queer. You can be part of the LGBT community and still be horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
You can. So I mean, I guess in a way, that is representation of
Yeah.
terrible queer people.
Yes.
But like,
Yeah.
I think we deserved better than that.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, they didn't even bother putting it in the show. But
no, they didn't.
yeah.
although I don't, did they at one point like they had a little three-way type of situation?
They did. They definitely did. I know there
Sure
was
they
one
did.
with like Dan and
Oh,
that girl,
but not
Hillary
Chuck.
Duff.
What?
I'm serious.
Oh,
Hillary
no.
Duff was on Gossip Girl in like season 4 or 3 when they went off to college, and he had like a 3-way with Hillary Duff and Vanessa maybe, and I thought that was gonna be like a plot line, but it literally wasn't. It was just one episode. But
Disappointing.
I
Yeah.
know
They were testing the waters, and they're like, no, you being bi, thus you're bad, matches it better. It's also like,
Yeah.
also just like, I feel like, yes, queer people can be bad. I know queer people that are bad, but a lot of shows treat it like you're bad because
Yeah.
you're
queer.
queer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why.
Especially if you're bi or a pan or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
So,
automatically cheaters.
I think it's probably better that they didn't put that in the show, to be honest, because I don't
Yeah.
think that's useful.
They couldn't handle it.
mainstream.
They couldn't handle it.
No, but
Yeah.
it does suck that like there wasn't a lot, because I feel like that show was like a huge part of people's like,
Upbringing.
yeah, like as in teenagers, and I feel like it was the type of show where we definitely could have had that, because it was a little risque for its time. I feel like a little bit.
sure.
Like Serena definitely was like ahead of her time, I think,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely could have done something better, even if it was with Eric or whatever. But we did get to see Eric had a boyfriend, right? So that was good.
yeah.
Yeah, his boyfriend Jonathan was chill.
Yeah.
I liked him.
I liked that. They had like a somewhat healthy relationship, if I remember correctly. So
I think so.
that's
You're
that's good at least.
Yeah.
I
But
think.
remember, Lily, you were like, "Oh, Victorious was very queer coded."
Mhm.
Yes.
And Jade, and
Ugh, Jade.
I feel like I'm such a Debbie Downer this episode, guys. But
It's so funny.
Victorious was not as good as you remember.
You know what? Don't even, because
Like-
I
See-
disagree.
Okay,
That show, I think, is one of the best
no,
Disney
See,
shows
it-
that they made.
it's Nickelodeon.
Oh.
Nickelodeon. But yeah.
Okay, whatever. That's why.
Starting off
That's
strong,
fine.
Lily. Starting
Yeah,
off
yeah,
strong.
yeah.
No,
That's
whatever.
so funny.
Okay, hear me out. No, I've rewatched that show like millions of times. My upbringing, I love it. I still love it. But oh my god, if you actually rewatch it, it's so dark and it's so clear that Dan Schneider
Oh,
wrote it.
Yes,
And
that's true.
Beck is transphobic.
Oh.
He's like, he has this line, and I'm as always, it's just meant to be funny. It's meant to be a one-off joke. So
Yeah.
like, I don't want people being like, Kiana, you're taking it so seriously. Because you know what? This is a podcast. I can talk.
Yeah, you know what? Whatever.
Beck is like, in some episode, he's like, oh yeah, my uncle who goes by like an aunt now. I don't know. He's just not
No.
into it.
Yeah.
And Jade is always being like, oh, who knows what gender Robbie is? She's not a man, you know?
Ew.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm turning that into a headcanon that Robbie's non-binary, and I
You know
love
what?
them.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Beck was totally giving non-binary, in my opinion.
The actor
think-
is now.
I see.
Yes,
it,
that's true. And
They
also,
pronouns?
I remember
Oh, yeah.
there's an episode where Beck is like Tori's understudy. I don't know if you're or
That's
stunt
my favorite
double.
episode.
Stunt double, and he
Yes.
like has to dress up like Tori in like the dress and the wig and everything, and he's
Yeah.
like obsessed with it, like loves
Yeah.
it, and like does it so well. And I
Yeah.
was like,
You know what's fun? It's the actor was talking about how they kind of asked him what he wants to do, and he was like, "I want to dress like in a pretty dress like Tori does." And
my
that was it.
God.
That was it. So that was the
yeah,
plot point.
That's
Anyway,
awesome. No, because yeah, I totally forgot the actor. What's their name?
don't know.
Yvonne,
Yeah.
Yvonne Joji.
Yeah. Is actually
Gee.
it came out somewhat recently, I think,
Yeah.
actually. So that's actually cool. That's funny. That I totally didn't even remember that. I was just like,
Yeah.
Beck is giving non-binary.
No,
Yeah.
it's
That
my
sucks
favorite
though.
episode.
That was a good episode. That
Yeah.
the writing. I don't know. I feel like those jokes, like stuff like that, was such a big part of like TV back then.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You know,
It was so normal.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't like blink at it, you know?
Mhm.
We're just
Yeah.
like, okay, haha, joke, let's move on,
Yeah.
right?
Also, this is not about them being gay, but why is Tori such a horrible person? Oh my gosh.
That's true.
She is such a bad friend to everyone.
Yeah.
She
Anyway.
actually is.
They make Trina the villain, but like Tori
Tori's the
sucks,
villain.
to be honest.
This friend
Tori's the
group
villain.
existed since like grade 9, and then Tori just waltzed in, and she's
Yeah.
like,
Screws
I'm
everything up.
here. I'm
Yeah.
gonna kiss back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna join the ping pong team. I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
I think
Oh, Tori, stop it.
the realest episode is when Andre like falls in love with Jade. Like for
Mhm.
Yes.
I was like, that's so real and so valid.
That's
I
all of
was
us.
like, oh my god, like Jade was like everything to me. I
Yeah.
think that's why I still love that show, even if it's
Mhm.
problematic, because
Yeah.
she was so important to me. She still is. Love
Yeah.
her so much. And I don't know. I feel like that show. I mean, it was no iCarly. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
iCarly was the peak of Nickelodeon, I think.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But this one, it came close that no other show, I think, did quite what it did. And also
Yeah.
the fact that it was like art school, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like, I want to be there. Like that's so gay for them.
The
you know?
locker is amazing. I wanted to have
Yeah.
that locker.
Like
I
gay
know.
people,
make a map.
gay people would love to go to that school.
I
Yeah.
would love to go to that
It's a school for gay people.
Jade and Beck were literally like my bisexual awakening.
Yeah.
Beck in that dress,
Oh my
I
god.
don't know, it did
Girl.
something to me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Just Beck and Jade are the reason I am who I am today.
No,
Anyway.
honestly, same. Like,
And Andre. But
Andre too. Honestly, even Ariana Grande on that show, she had a little something.
she's cute. She
for
is
her.
very fetishized, which just makes me
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
and, like,
but
Infantilized a little bit for
Yeah.
sure, which is definitely the terrible works of Dan Schneider.
oh,
Anyway.
absolutely.
All the feet content.
Ew.
So
Disgusting.
questionable.
It borders on child pornography.
Oh,
so heavily.
I feel like we've crossed the border.
yeah.
Because at some point he was like during the prime, you know, he's not doing this now. I hope, but he was like tweeting and stuff and being like, "Fans, send your feet, like,
Oh my God,
write
are you
stuff on your
serious?
feet." No, it was like hashtags and stuff, you know,
Ugh.
like want to be featured because like it was more than the show. They had like contests and the websites and the web like content, like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I know Jeanette McCurdy has a book. I think she talked about sort of what it was like on Nickelodeon and like with Dan Schneider and everything, like a little bit in her book, because that was all a mess. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of taints those shows when you look
It
back at them
does.
now and you know like everything terrible that was going on.
Mhm.
And like the problematic jokes, I mean, I feel like honestly, if you rewatched any show from like 10 years ago, we would probably find
Yeah.
that. Even Glee, like watching it back when we did the episode, I was like, geez,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, when I think of the problematic jokes versus the exploitation that the actors faced, I am more angry about the actors being treated that way
Yeah,
than I am about the
100%.
jokes. I think that's
Yeah.
why I'm a bit less like, I mean, still not, not trying to apologize for it, but I feel like my focus just always shifts to, oh, this part is so much worse that I forget about the rest of it.
Yeah. No, I think so too.
In what's her name? Sam's character, the memoir. You just mentioned it.
Jennette McCurdy.
Yes, thank you, Jennette McCurdy.
I want to read her book so bad, honestly.
In her book, I like listened to an audio version. She was saying like Dan Schneider would have meetings with her and kind of like pressure her to drink or be like, "You iCarly kids, you're so goody two shoes. The Victorious kids are always out partying and drinking, and we don't tell." You know.
Yeah.
It just kind of shows the environment these kids were forced to work in. Like kids, they were kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like Riverdale where these like adults are pretending to be in high school. These people were in high school.
Yeah.
And even Beck's actor like said once like in a TikTok, they're like, "Oh, I don't even remember like so much of the shooting because I was just like, you know, like
trigger warning, addiction.
Yeah, trigger warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. It's terrible. I'm glad that, I mean, obviously stuff like that still happens, but I feel like there is a little bit of a difference in like, I mean, it also speaks to the fact that I think any high school show now, it's all played by like people over 20.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's not that same like exploitation of young kids that there was when like Disney was like really at its peak. Like even like shows like Sweet Life on Deck, like all of those where they had like really young kids like working like adults and like, you know, like it was terrible for all of them. Like they all talk about how it was like miserable.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like Jennette McCurdy and I know Cole Sprouse talked about it too, were doing it like kind of forced to do it in order to support their families.
Yeah.
Which is like,
and that's not a position a kid should be in ever.
No.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's also like moving on a bit into newer stuff. I feel like by using more like adult actors, it allows them to sexualize children more though.
Yes, that's true. And
because you know they're adults so they can do it, but no, they shouldn't. If they're portraying a 15-year-old, it's still the same. Like the responsibility of what you're creating should be the same. I don't know.
I think shows that use grown-ups for like their teens are mostly like HBO shows and shows that are targeted for young adults. Like Disney and Nickelodeon, they're still using children. That hasn't stopped, and there have been protests at Nickelodeon from former actors. I think especially from people that worked on Zoe 101.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've heard about that.
Being like, this is not...
around that.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, this is not a safe working environment for kids.
No, it's not.
And literally no one's doing anything about it. Dan Schneider is still hired. And I'm sure it's not just him. Like, 100%. It's not just one guy at Nickelodeon being like, this is my fetish. Because people are letting this happen.
Yeah, and I think what... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think what people don't realize is, like, the U.S. set our, like, work rights, whatever. It's very, very bad. Like, I've heard from multiple people that work here in the movie industry in Canada, and they say every time they work with someone that works in the U.S., they never want to work with them again because there is no respect for anyone on set.
Wow.
And I'm sure if you're kids, that extends to it even more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, every time someone asks, like, a couple of these people if they should work in the U.S., and they're like, if you want to be treated poorly and not get paid, do it.
Jeez.
So I feel like that speaks a lot to how bad the working environment is there. And yeah, child labor laws are also different in the US versus Canada. I mean, Canada's not great, but and they have some better laws, but I think it's just scary that that's not changing because, you know, no one cares about the entertainment industry and work rights.
I didn't even know like Dan Schneider still worked there. Like that's crazy. I thought like because everybody knew. Like, I thought he was fired a long time ago because of that.
No.
Like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
he should have been.
That sucks. I didn't even know that was still happening. I mean, I don't keep up with, like, Nickelodeon, obviously, anymore, but that's really
He has like a
disappointing.
Nickelodeon Lifetime Achievement Award or something that's
Bro.
only been handed out twice. And like he's like one of the owners of like the award. And I'm like, oh, why is he even allowed at a Kids' Choice Award?
Yeah.
Keep him away from there.
No, yeah.
Stay away from the children, Dan. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Jeez.
keep him away, keep him locked up.
Yeah.
Take away his fucking, sorry.
Yeah.
His,
It's okay. It's a heated
yeah,
topic.
what's the thing? When you get money from your rights, I don't think he should be allowed to get that from his
Yeah.
exploitation, fun entertainment thing that he had.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to talk about Yellow Jackets
Yes,
for a
I was gonna
second.
bring that up.
Yeah, because we don't have that much time
Yeah.
yet, and let's not give Dan Schneider any more airtime.
Yeah.
But I want it. Okay, this is a relatively new show. I think the first season came out like last year or the year before.
So good.
And it takes place in the 90s and present day. So it kind of flips back and forth. And there's queer representation in both of the timelines. And I think that this is like really positive representation.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very thoughtful. There's real queer people playing the characters.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's like 2 queer couples basically in each timeline so far that we know.
Yeah.
I think there'll be more though later. We'll
Probably.
see. But like the young couple, like one of them is queer and non-binary in real life. I don't know about the other one, but even it shows in the relationship that there's like, you know, actual queer people behind this. It feels very authentic. Then even, you know, it takes place in the 90s, but they really like stayed away from all the like terrible like stereotyping and stuff like that I feel like existed then. And it's just very natural, and like even the other people in the show are very like, oh, whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's not really like a lot of like backlash like to their relationship. And I don't know, I think it's really positive. We get to see too, like when they're older in the second timeline, there's, you know, one of them's like married in a lesbian relationship, like they have a kid, they're wealthy, like, you know, it's like very like an example of like successful lesbian relationships. I mean, they have their problems obviously, but I don't want, you know, you have to watch the show to figure that out. It's very like related to the plot, but regardless of like the stuff that's happening in the plot, the actual representation itself I think is very positive.
Yeah, and what I like is that it's not like a lesbian show. It's a show, it's kind of like almost like the idea of Lost, but make it into plot lines when in the past, because this is in the first 30 seconds of it. Anyway, they're playing clashes
It's
in middle of the
modern
forest.
day like Lord of the Flies is how I would
Yeah,
describe it.
you're right,
But with,
yes.
like women.
Yeah. But that's why, like, I literally the first time I was introduced to this show was by how I don't know how old white man, like our dramatic writing prof.
Oh my god.
He loves it.
I love it.
And so
that's
that
so
to
real.
me shows that it's not just a show that was made for queer viewers. And I think that's what we keep on like talking about during our show, is that we need to have shows that are independently good stories and plot lines, and then you have queer characters.
Yes, exactly.
And this show does it both so well. And I've only seen 2 episodes, but I'm obsessed. The story, the visuals, the way they work with the 2 plot lines, just perfection, everything.
I watched the whole first season in like a few days, I think, because I literally binged it. I was like, I couldn't stop watching it. And the second season just came out 2 weeks ago, so the third episode's coming out this week.
Oh my God.
I should
So
catch
excited.
up.
I need to watch it.
It's fantastic, and the queer representation just gets like better, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It like actually makes me giggle. Like I love them so much.
Yeah.
But I think I think the fact that it's really successful is because the queer representation is just in there naturally.
Yeah.
It's not what their characters are all about. Like it has nothing really to do with the plot even. It just like happens to be there, and the rest of the show is like a very good quality.
Yeah.
So it's like good writing, and it's just like you know, it's very just naturally like put in there, which I feel like doesn't happen a lot, especially I mean, it's not a show for younger people, obviously, because it is like very gory and like graphic and stuff. But I don't know. They they are playing younger characters, and I feel like we don't get like that kind of representation a lot for younger characters. Most of the time it's like their whole character is just like their sexuality and coming out and figuring out their identity, and this one is like not that at all, and I think that's great.
And that makes me think maybe just like the new HBO shows, even like The Last of Us, they're doing way better with having a show that's independently good and also having good queer characters and representation.
That's the way it should be. But, oh my God,
that's another one that I'm really happy with is The Last of Us.
It's so good. I thought you were gonna say Euphoria. So
no. I was like, whoa.
No, not Euphoria. Not happy with that one. No, The Last of Us. I think it's the same type of thing where like the show is really well written. It's really well made, and then there just happens to be these queer characters, and it's not their whole story. Like they have so much more depth to them, like personality-wise, like plot-wise, and it's just naturally done. And I think it's because both those shows, Yellow Jackets and The Last of Us, has queer people playing their characters and queer people in the writing rooms, which makes such a huge difference.
It does.
It always starts in the writing room, I feel. You know? If you're gonna write a character, make sure someone's writing it where like the voice would be authentic. Not just queer, just like anyone, literally. You know?
No, absolutely. And it's also like, oh my gosh, I fully lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Anyway, I'm going to pass out to someone else until I remember. Whoopsie.
Anyway.
Well, we've covered... Oh.
No, go for it.
I feel like the shows we've covered recently, like Heartbreak High and stuff, they've been good. Sex Education...
Heartstopper. Like there's a lot more for younger people as well. Like these ones, Last of Us, those are a bit for an older audience. But I think the quality for younger people is also getting better.
Young girls.
And I just can't imagine like the difference it makes when you're like middle school, like high school, even younger, like having shows like this to watch and just like seeing people who you can relate to, like what a difference that makes. You know?
We don't have to like be desperate for representation anymore. We don't have to only relate to Emily because Emily is the only person on our screen.
Exactly.
Like, wow, Emily is me.
We can choose.
Emily shouldn't be me.
No.
I should not be Emily.
I am not Emily.
Don't want to be.
I was an Emily stan for like years because I was
Everybody
literally like,
because who else are you?
I was like, whoa, this is the only case where I relate.
And I'm like, oh, she's pretty. Her skin's a bit darker, like mine. That's so cool. That's everything I ever needed out of representation.
Same. I'm like, whoa, she's not white and straight. I could be her.
I feel like, I don't know, she was there, but I feel like her experience was not why, you know what I mean? Like she was very like sports and just like,
it was a straight person's version of a lesbian.
Exactly. Like I was like, dude, like I don't know about this. Like she's gay, that's really the only thing that she has going for her. In terms of like representation, I don't know, but it's really
swimmer representation.
It was really, I don't know, I think it's really positive to see a lot better in all kinds of different media. Like we have the teeny bopper shows like Heartstopper and Heartthrob High, or what's it called?
Heartbreak High?
Heartbreak High.
Heartthrob
High?
So
that sounds like a teen dating show, and I'm scared.
That's so gross.
And Young Royals too that we mentioned.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh, Young Royals. Sorry, I just got so excited.
Okay.
Young Royals, I think, is like
Very
chef's
good.
kiss, like representation. It's perfect. Even just teen representation in general. Like they all have acne. Like I love it. I love
Let
it so
teens
much.
be teens.
Yeah. I love it, but I don't know. I'm like low-key so jealous of all the young people now, and I'm like, all of them are like gay in high school and like having queer relationships in high school, and like they can come out and stuff, and like
Not even high school, like middle school.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Even
Like if you know who you are by then, good for you. I didn't.
I know. Even like for trans kids though, like I'm like, I feel like if I had that kind of representation instead of like trans medicalists like Calvin Guerra or whatever his name was, maybe I would have come out a little sooner.
Yeah.
And like not been sad.
Yeah, and I hope this trend will slowly like spread and with the rest of the world too. Because I feel like, I definitely see it a lot better where we live in Canada anyway, not all of it.
Yeah.
If you go up northern Ontario, you're a little messed up. But
Australia and like even Europe as well. I don't know if you guys have heard of the show Scam. But that one also it's older too. I remember watching that in middle school, and like queer representation was like on par with what we have here today. Years
Scam
ago.
was the show.
Yeah, so I feel like places, I don't know, in Australia too, like Heartbreak High, and there's a few from Australia that have like
shout out Australia
queer representation. I feel like we're like catching up slowly, like the States and just like North America. I feel like
well, like Australia
just is behind
Courtney Cox from RuPaul's Drag Race fame was already like famous in Australia because she was on American Idol season 1. No, not American Idol. Oh my god, Australia Idol season 1. And you know, that was like many years ago, like 10 years ago at least, I think.
Yeah.
And you know, she was there doing her thing. She was already like a celebrity, had her name.
Yeah.
Well, Scam is made. Do you remember where it's Sweden, right?
I think
Swedish?
there's different ones though.
Yes, that's true. Like there's a France version as well. But I think the original one that was old, like that I watched in like grade 7, grade 8, took place in Sweden, I believe, which is also Young Royals, I think is also Swedish.
That makes sense.
But that was like mind-blowing representation for the time. Like I remember watching that on like Google Drive, like links,
oh my gosh,
links from Tumblr.
Oh my god,
for Google
waiting
Drive.
for it to come out.
Yeah,
coming out weekly.
People would post it on there, and I would watch it, and like it was incredible